Hey, Sarah. All right, so whoever wants to go first. Hey, beautiful. Whoever wants to go first, we're doing just quick intros. Share what you do, a little bit about you, and then what you hope to gain from tonight. Whoever wants to kick it off.
I'm down.
Go ahead, boo.
All right. Hello, everyone. Great evening. I hope you're feeling good. My name is Neffy. I am a empowerment coach. My full name is Nefertiria. I'm 36. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm really passionate about helping others. Kind of what I do is I help women tap into their beauty, their power, and their potential. And we all need to be empowered. So that's what I do. I love to speak to women and tell my story of divine reversal. I lost 141 pounds during the pandemic. I reversed diabetes, high blood pressure, and I was actually going blind from being obese. So I tell my story of divine reversal in my health and finance. I basically turned my waistline into wealth and built a 5-figure health and wellness business while changing my lifestyle. So I just love to share my story and empower others that they could do the same.
Yes, you better come on, sis. You better come on, Red Chief, with the introduction. Who's next? Ladies, this your chance. Put it out there to the world.
I'll go next.
Okay.
So I'm a little rough. Hey, y'all. My name is Tashina Patterson. I am 36 years old. I actually have my own business, Blissful Baskets LLC. But I am officially an author, thanks to Miss Desiree. Woo woo. So get the walls, the breakdown to building up. There will be a mini series coming. So I am learning that with walls we build up, we have to also learn how to break them down to rebuild positive walls, and making sure that the walls we build are healthy, and making sure that we understand the bricks that have those walls are transparent and also visible. So I'm hoping to learn how to speak what I think, and making sure that what's coming out of my brain comes out in a positive way, so that maybe what I can get others to think and feel can come out the same way, so that, you know, everybody else can get the same vibe. So it's not just a overthinking thing for me. So I want to make sure that I can get those points in and get things going. So hopefully I can be an inspiration to other people.
Awesome. Yes, I love it. I love it. Okay, we got Divine. She can't use her mic, so I'm gonna say hers. Her name is Divina. She's 29 years old and also a first-time author, and she owns her own travel business. Sis be up on it with the travels. Make sure you get with her. Make sure you follow her on social media. It's just your name, right, sis, on social media? Okay, yep. Follow her on social media if you want some travels. She got a whole journal out, y'all. I thought I had it right next to me. I don't. So yeah, she is published as well. Anybody else?
I'll go. Hey, y'all. My name is Antonia Dupree. I am in Louisiana. I'm originally born and raised in Mississippi. I am a life coach, a business strategist. I help with social media content and marketing. Also help women be more confident online, to show up online, and a life coach, an educator, and an author, thanks to Desiree. I have a prayer devotion. So if you wanted to increase your prayer life, I have a devotional. And I do inspirational content and faith content. And my topics that I love to speak about is mindset, confidence, how to show up online, how to make sales online. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. I love it. We got room for about 2 more.
I'll go next. Let me see. Hey everyone, my name is Tanata Chambers. I am from Michigan and I am currently starting a business called Detox and Growth and Firm Foundation. Firm Foundation is my clothing line. Detox and Growth is pretty much bringing the community together to support each other and detox and growing in every area of your life. So that's financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, which is pretty much to rid those areas of toxicity. I can't even say the word toxicity, and to grow so that you can grow on a healthy foundation and prosper and be fruitful and grow healthy fruit in all those areas of your life. So what I do is pretty much support. So I'm trying to learn because I want to be a life coach and I want to be a motivational speaker. And I am in the midst of just writing out my my healing, detox, and growth journal.
That is so powerful. I love everything about that, girl. Anybody else? Last one.
Hey, Desiree, is it okay if I
Hey,
go?
absolutely.
All right. So my name is Kentrella. I go by Kay on Facebook. I'm also in Louisiana. I am a tax preparer and I'm also an author. I've been an author since 2020. I think I dropped my first book. My book is a women's self-help book, and I designed the book to help women just come out of their shell and find their greatest selves within themselves. A lot of times we feel lost, we feel that there's no one supporting us, and we get down. So in the midst of everything that I was going through, I say, well, okay, me and my life coach got together and I put together this book to help women. Other than that, I've just been self-motivating, trying to really tap into fine tune the industry, also get into, just figuring out how to be that powerful person in the, in the industry and come out of my shell as well. So thank you.
Love that. That is amazing. What was that? What's your book called again?
In the Mind of the Achiever.
In the Mind of the Achiever. I didn't produce that one, so we're gonna have to go find that. And then real quick, I want to say Sarah's giving her babies a bath. So she's Sarah Dela Cruz. She's an author with her book about childhood traumas and a journal based on self-care with many prompts on how to self-care right at home. I love it, love it, love it. I was trying to think I published your book, sis, but it's been a minute. I'm like, what is the titles? Self-care is not selfish, and then no longer silent. Boom. Those are her books. Powerful, powerful testimony from Sarah. Y'all make sure y'all check her out. And just really quick, I want to say thank you guys for being here tonight. Close my door and get out, please. Thank you guys for being here tonight. We are so excited to have you guys. I'm Desiree. If you did not know, I am so thankful to have all of you in our community, Sis Get Up and Boss, where we are bossing. We are bringing inspiration, encouragement, doing these masterclass so that you can next level in every area of your life. That's what matters to me. So without further ado, I want to bring our lovely speaker on and go ahead and have the room, sis.
Hey, y'all, give me one hot second. I made up a special code for tonight and I just want to make sure it was saved. Just want to
Who
make
came
sure.
in with the phone number so I can say hi to you real quick?
Okay.
7. Who is that? Good. Okay, perfect.
All righty. Hey, there I am. Hey, ladies. I'm so excited to be here. And of course, like most people say, thank you for having me. And, thank you, Desiree. It truly is an honor. I'm excited to hear not only have a lot of you pushed out and birthed books, because I'm also an author and I understand, especially when you pour yourself into it, how emotional that process can be. And so that speaks a lot to your resilience, to your tenacity. So I'm super proud of you all, and all of you who are sitting on a book. I'm sure you're going to connect yourself with Desiree and make sure you make that happen. If not, before the year is out in 2023, because your book can get in people's hands, and that it can be your voice packaged up in a way and can get in front of people that maybe you may not get in those rooms, but your book can, and then your voice and message ultimately can. So I definitely want to say that. The introductions, sometimes we also feel like that is like a bore, but it was so good because I got to get to know you all. And I know now for sure that I'm in the midst and amongst other purpose-driven women. Like all of you had empowering missions. And so it was really good to hear it, whether you're still in the process of getting the business going or if you launched it. And so that's really, really good. I definitely talked to Desiree offline and about authors. And a lot of times people just push out a book and don't realize that there's something bigger. And that's not you, ladies. So I'm really excited that you realize that there's something bigger, and that ultimately, hopefully, there's also clients that you can see yourself transforming their lives by them coming in contact with what you have to offer. And so I will go into who I am, but because I'm on this point, I will say that I definitely am really excited about my signature framework, which is the voice the client's method. And so in everything that I talk about, every time I speak, everything that I do with my clients is through the voice the client's method. So ultimately, I'm thinking about how can we amplify your voice so you can boost your visibility and ultimately enroll clients, because on the other side of that transaction is the deeper transformation. The speakers that I pretty much get in front of, we understand that a 15-minute window, an hour, is not enough to suffice to what we really want to see happen in the lives of the women, right? Or the people. Majority of the times women like to serve women. It just is what it is, right? My story connects with women. My personality connects with women. And so that's most common, but we realize that's not enough. We impact them, but that's not enough. They feel good, but that's not enough. And then that's when a lot of people start coming against women empowerment. Like, I'm still here for it. It just needs something after. It has to have a continuation. They're like, oh, they just felt good and they left, because there was no offer of what's next. You never even invited them to do anything after. They may have bought your book, but what happened then? Do you even have their contact information? That's huge. That's small, like an extra gem, but that's so big. If you could think about, hey, if I get them a product, I don't care if they bought a t-shirt, but most importantly, if they buy my book that day because I spoke, do I have a way to continue talking to them? So the speakers I work with, because we're going to talk about visibility tonight, the speakers that I work with, we talk about your speaking funnel, which ultimately the way someone gets into your funnel is by exchange of contact information. Because I don't just want to woo-woo you, because I want to be able to check and see what's going on next. Or I already know because you're in my program and I'm meeting with you weekly or bi-weekly. I already know, right? Because that's not enough. And so purpose-driven women, we want to see more happen. So I'm really excited because I'm talking to the right room. I'm talking to the right room. And, of course, who you are is who you pretty much bring in. So Desiree, I'm new to her, but I'm just loving what I'm coming in contact with. We already began to gel. And so her women are very similar to her. So that's, in a nutshell, what I'm going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about being a powerhouse speaker, but being a visible speaker in 10 diverse ways. A little bit about me, because I didn't even share. And I loved, who was it, Nafi? I loved how she went into her story. It was very powerful. Your delivery was amazing. Amazing introduction. Absolutely enjoyed that. What I will say is some fun facts is I was born 3 months premature. I am 31. A lot of people, they don't know until I open up my mouth that I am that. I also am a boss mom. I'm new to it, not true to it, and to boss baby Caden. But these are one of my days off. So typically you would see him. he would be moving, climbing on me, doing all of the things. Okay. And so he's officially won as of last month. I recently went back to work. So that's that, but that's really exciting. Because I was full-time prior in business, and I just decided I just wanted more peopling. I'm an extrovert. I'm an extreme extrovert. And I wanted to support my son as well. So that's that. My pretty introduction about who I am and what I do. I teach powerhouse speakers how to amplify their voice so they can boost their visibility, grow their tribe, and enroll clients on repeat. And so ultimately, of course, as a speaker brand strategist, or some people like to call me a brand visibility strategist, but I understand a lot of people don't really understand what brand visibility is and what it does. It's oftentimes confused with just awareness, or we like to call it showing up. I show up. I show up. And so I do want to open up with, I'm going to change my view because I want to see y'all, because I'm an expert. But I do want to start with talking about how have you been showing up? And I'm going to make sure that you have access. So what I would ask Desiree to do for me, please, is drop the link. But the link that she's going to drop is also the link of my bio on Instagram and on Facebook. So on Instagram is I am Ciara Shanae. I am Ciara Shanae, spelled exactly like it is here, but I am in front of it. If you, for whatever reason, lose the link, it's right there. And then you could click the Visible Speaker Workshop. I have created a special code for you all. And so you would be able to get access to the digital checklist. Okay, I think I can get permission to share my screen, but you will also have access to it on your end. Okay, but we don't need it now. I just want you, as you all are going around, to also be getting your hands on the checklist. So the special code that I made for you all is GETUPBOSS in all caps, no spaces. GETUPBOSS, all caps, no spaces. All right, and if you could drop that, thank you. She was on it, okay? She's on it, and I'm here for it. And so when you get it, just let us know, got it in the comments so that we know that you got the checklist. Okay, it's gonna take you over to my Voice to Clients Institute. And so there's some also amazing things over there as well. Like I heard someone talking about their top 3 speaker topics. And I'm really excited about that because the first step of my Voice to Clients method is specialty. And so it's very important to be consistent with at least your top 3 topics, because that is what causes you to build a brand. And then for people to also recommend you for speaking opportunities, they need to know what you talk about. They need to not only know that you speak, because that's how you end up in the rooms that's not beneficial for you. Because, oh, I heard you speak. Can you come out and speak about mac and cheese? And the next thing you know, you on a panel talk about mac and cheese and collard greens. And you're like, why? This doesn't add to my business in any kind of way. But all they know is that you speak. So you don't want to show up as an opinionated speaker. You want to start showing up as a specialized speaker. You want to be the specialist of your message. And so they have to know that, though. They would have to know. And so it's your job to stop speaking about anything and all things and start being very specific and not being afraid to what people say niche, right? Having a specific audience and then also having specific specialties. It would change the game. It would change the game. Anybody ready to talk to me about how you've been showing up so far as a speaker? And you could come off mute for that. I'm okay.
I don't mind breaking the ice again.
Okay, thank you. And just say your name. I see you now, but just say your name just in case, because the names keep coming off. So if you could just say it for me, that'd be great.
Sure. My name is Nefertiria. It is a rendition of Nefertiti. And how I've been showing up for myself as a speaker. So the short version of that, my name means Earth's beautiful one, or the beautiful one has come. Nefertiti was known to be a public speaker. She actually dressed as a pharaoh because in her time, women weren't allowed to speak. So she dressed as a pharaoh. That's why you always see her with the famous hat. I emulate that in every way. I was always the first one to be voted in the group to talk. I was never scared to do the group projects and get in front of people. I always got in trouble for talking. So once I realized the power of my name, I told my dad, it's your fault. It's your fault that I talk too much. I have a long background in serving, so used to just speaking to strangers, political organizing. I mean, you said it, I've done it. But the way I've been showing up is when I decided to launch my online business back in October 2020, I started doing things I never did before, going live, telling my story, just being consistent at being consistent, and just being confident in who I am. And sometimes if I'm not confident, just saying, hey, I ain't confident today, y'all. What y'all do when y'all not confident, you know? And just keeping it real. I'm a person that's really big on genuine intent, and I love to help others. So I come from a place where this is where I am, but I love to meet you where you are so we can all be strong together. So that's the long and the short of it for me.
I'm here for it. I can relate to a lot of it. I wrote a book, right? I meant to say that part. I said I was an author, but I wrote 2 books. One is self-published and physical. It's a workbook, and it's called Don't Muzzle Your Message. So inside of Don't Muzzle Your Message, I share a lot of my muzzled seasons and stories. And one of the things I always got in trouble for was talking too much. Like, that's the only thing. I got detention for talking too much. Like, I was very studious, very well-behaved kid, but I just couldn't keep quiet. So one of the things when I realized that I was an extrovert, it helped me a lot, because I would even get in trouble at like work in a sense, because they're like, why do you keep, getting up and going to the bathroom, or why do you, like, I'm doing work, but I need to talk to people. I realized I needed to not just always be in front of a computer screen because they can't talk back to me. Like, I did a lot of behind the scenes stuff at that point. And I was like, I didn't know that I was an extrovert. The moment I understood I was an extrovert, I was like, people need to ask that at the job, put the introverts to file all day and data entry, because I can do it, but I have a moment where I need to at least be answering the phone or entertaining someone. I need to be front facing. And so you seem very extroverted to me, may not be, but you seem very extroverted, and I can totally relate in so many ways. I've always been a talkative kid my whole life. And so I definitely shared about that. And then the only other book that I have right now is an ebook called Build Your Own Stage. And you'll be able to see that in the Voice of Clients Institute. But that one I wrote in the middle of the pandemic. It's a funny story. I literally wrote it in Google Keep. So I know, like, Desiree probably has, funny stories, but there's really nothing that can really hold you back from. I'm still speaking to the woman that maybe hasn't pushed out her book. Make sure you get with Des, but I literally did it I live in New Jersey, so it's ShopRite, but in the grocery store parking lot. My mother was running in because we didn't want everybody in, because it was still COVID in the thick of it. While I was driving her and waiting in the parking lot, I wrote a book. Like, next thing you know, it was done, and it's still a book that's referred to now. People implement it. So it can be done. It can really be done. And Google, all the apps it has, use it, voice, text, all of that. But we're not here for that. But I definitely wanted to shed light on that. Someone else want to share? Thank you again for initiating and taking initiative. I appreciate that.
No problem, Ciara. And I don't know if I didn't catch it, but the link and the code, what was that for again?
So you can get the checklist. So there's a digital checklist that I'll be sharing my screen and showing once we all talk. And everybody doesn't have to share verbally if you don't want to, because I know that can take a lot of time. But I do want to hear from at least 2 more people before we dive in. Tashina?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so my name means Princess Warrior.
Come on with the breakdowns of names.
Yeah. When she said that, it did something, because I was like, dang, I felt like Sophia all my life. I've been fighting. So I never understood the process of my name until every time I've come across something and there's been a battle. Spiritually, there's always been a battle. However, I've always won my battles. Whether I've naturally put up my hands because, I'm too cute for all that, I don't have to battle. But spiritually, there's a battle and I've always won victoriously. So I'm a princess warrior. I've always fought. So I'm an extrovert on purpose. And I'm always pushed. Well, Sheena, you already know how to talk. So go ahead and do this and do this and do this. So whenever I'm at work, or we always have workshops, they automatically make me talk. Well, you already have the personality for it, so go ahead and do it. I don't want to. I don't feel like adulting today. I don't I don't want to. Leave me be. But because of my persona, because of how it comes out, I do it. I always got in trouble for talking at school. So I felt like, dang, I'm not the only one that got in trouble because I run my mouth. But it's, I guess whenever those not so great days come up, it's like, how do you push yourself to stand on the podium and the light shines and it's all about you? I'm good at talking to people about everything, but when it comes to talking about me or about what I have to do or what I'm doing for people, it's one of those, wait, hold on, hold a minute. Let me get my life right to Christ twice, because it's about me. Now I could talk about everybody else. I can talk about everybody else's problems. I can help you see your problems, but I gotta talk about my book. I gotta talk about why I got these walls. Read it. Read the poem. Read this or read that. I gotta explain it. So I guess they always say it's easier said than done. But I guess for me, it's hard to talk about me when you're used to helping others. And when I'm extroverted and I'm so sociable, I'm observant. So I'll read everybody. Oh, this person don't like such and such because I can see how her eyes rolled at this person. But because I'm so introverted, let me just stay in my lane and mind my business. Because if somebody come at me sideways, that warrior gonna come out. And I don't feel like setting it off. I ain't got the time. It ain't you know what I'm saying? Everything is not meant for everybody. So it's for me figuring out, how do you scan the room? How do you know how to set the tone of voice as well? Because you can have those very high pitched, hey girl, da, 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 versus the monotone people, and you're automatically turn people off. So that's where I'm at. Like, I don't know how that works. So that's for me.
Right. So it sounds like there's a lot of mental chatter going on. I have something in the Voice of Clients Institute. It's called Shake Fear to Speak. And a lot of times we may not identify what's happening as fear, but inside that, I definitely talk about, 3 ways of like the 3 things you could actually shift your concentration on so that you're not being distracted by what you think is actually happening. I remember when I first, because people don't believe it, but when I first started speaking, I was in communication classes in high school and in college, but because I had to, it was a part of the program. Like I never thought I would be a speaker or love speaking or want to work with speakers. I never thought that I would be here because I had my muzzle moments, right? But I understand what it's like being on this side, being nervous and seeing people's faces. And what I used to hate was the blank stares. I'm like, is it boring? You don't like what I'm talking about? And it's not until I started hearing what people would say afterwards, especially since I became a speaker. Like when I heard what people said afterwards, I realized that we was always misinterpreting what it was. Some people could look at you and they're in deep thought because you made them really think about something they never thought about, but we don't know them. Let me find out you know everybody in the audience and you can read their body language. You don't even know their personality. You have no idea what their face can mean. Now I get it. Some things seem universal, but you don't know what's really going on, right? And so the biggest thing to do for sure is to just silence all of what you think is happening and then get to more of the root of what's really actually happening. And the last thing that I will say is when it comes to niching, I understand that my tribe is going to resonate with me. So when I show up, one of the things I teach in my program, Dominate Your Speech, is to spot your tribe in week 1. And so when we get on a stage and we're spotting our tribe, I'm now talking to Tracy in the red shirt all day. As long as she riding with me, I'm talking to Tracy in the front shirt. What's your name in the front with the red shirt? Tracy. Hey, Tracy. All day she in my speech. Get the replay. I'm talking to Tracy. And if anybody else talks to me, I'm talking to them because that's who I was there for. Everybody's not going to walk away impressed. Everyone's not going to walk away with nuggets. Everybody's not going to walk because you're not for everybody. So that's why it's really important to know what solution you have and what you're showing up to provide. That's why there's several speakers. You're not the only speaker. And most of the time when it's the only speaker, they just want you to share your story so that people could just be inspired holistically and generically. But when you're specifically showing up as a specialist of your message, you're not there for everybody unless you really show up in a place where the whole audience is your niche. You know, like if you work with moms and the whole thing is a Black mom, you work with Black moms and it's a Black mom conference, then most likely majority of the people should be rocking with you. But it's still not going to be everybody because everybody don't connect with everybody. And that's fine. But that's what I would say to Sheena. You're not shy. It don't sound like it at all. And people are pulling on you because they see something that you're doubting. You know, I'm keep it real tonight. It's a lot of love. Y'all don't know me, but I come with love. You know, and I would just definitely say, you know, stop thinking about that. You going and to know who to show up for and really hone in on them. That's what I would say, honey bun.
Love that. Sarah, we have one more question in the chat. Sarah said, what about the ones that
Got
have
it.
shown up?
I have it. I just didn't want to send it because the Sheena was talking. So I just dropped my response in the chat. I didn't want Sheena to think she wasn't being listened to. So, but I have it right there. Sorry, but for the recording's sake, we're here to talk about how you could fully show up. So the question was, what if you're not fully showing up? We're here to help you show up in a bigger capacity, but it's really important to know like what you've been doing. Because a lot of you may be thinking, I show up. Okay, I've been showing up, right? And the other thing that I've noticed before we take the last person, and we're gonna dive in, but is that sometimes you can show up and then become discouraged from showing up because you're doing all of the things and it's not getting the results that you want. Like, all right, I'm going live. Okay, I'm speaking on stages, right? But I'm not getting clients. I'm not making the amount of money I want. I'm walking away, you know, spending more than I'm actually gaining. Like, so there's a lot of different things. So sometimes you may also not have what I like to, like I say, for your brand visibility, you need to add sass to it, right? And so what do I mean by adding sass? It needs to be strategic, it needs to be authentic, and it needs to be systematic. And that's a lot of the times why we don't get the results that we want. So sometimes our brand visibility plan is probably not even a plan, it's just sporadic, but you know, we're doing all of the things and it's not authentic to us. And so we can talk about that tonight when we have time to try to pick what's authentic. I'm going to share with you 10 things. Please don't try to do all 10. You're going to be tired. You're going to drain yourself out, sis. But you may do a sprinkle of some of them occasionally, but majority, you should, like most of the time, you should have a top 3 that you circulate through. And so that's what we're going to talk about, but you're going to have to reconsider, okay, because some people do lives because other people do lives. I see everybody doing lives, so I'm doing lives because lives are the thing to do. But if it's not authentic to you, you may not get the results you want because they can tell you're pushing yourself to do something that's not authentic, and you can get greater results elsewhere if you know what could really work for you. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Okay. Y'all with me? You feel refreshed? I like that. I like that. We're just getting started. This is the breaking of the ice some more, okay? So I love that. That makes sense to you guys? And I do want to say, like, we got, what's her name? Tavana. I was waiting for you all day. We was talking in the comments and stuff. Tavana's in her kitchen, okay? So you can cam up. I'm using Devonna as an example because she's like, I'm here. And you gonna see my face. She's probably flipping over something, some chicken, some gravy, some peppers. I'm just guessing. I'm just like, save me a plate, please. I'll be ready when I'm off of here. Okay, mail it, whatever. I don't know where you are. Where are you?
I think her mic is not working tonight.
Oh, it's not working. Where is she in the world? North Carolina. Oh, my best friend is in Gastonia. I'm gonna make sure we make that happen. Not too far from Charlotte, but yeah. So one last person. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, Kay. I'm so glad to see you.
I'll go if somebody, or unless somebody else wants to go that haven't spoke yet.
Anybody want to take Tanada?
Yes.
Or Tanada's here, but anybody else wanted to speak?
Yeah, this is Sarah. Sorry, I'm getting over COVID, so I'm losing my voice. But I guess I want to speak on how much, I guess how far I have shown up.
Mhm.
And Desiree knows, like, for a few years, I was going in circles with releasing my book. So I finally did that on my birthday this year, September 9th. Ever since then, I sold a lot of copies, but then I just stopped. And it was more of the marketing for me, figuring out what works as well as balance. I've been fighting with balance in my life, with my children, with work, just trying to show up for myself all year. Thank you, love. Looking at the comments. Thanks, Sonata. But it's just more of like that stagnation. I've been really fighting through stagnation. I'm also really spiritual when it comes down to God. And I feel like whenever I fall off with him, I fall off track. So it's been a lot of that towards the end of the year. Around the summertime, I'll just kind of, mine went one way. I went through a lot of mental problems this year as well. So fighting, mental illness, I think that was the worst I've been through out of all the crazy mess that I've been through, knowing that my book needed to come out this year. Um, when I finally released that, it's like a lot of pressure was lifted off of me, but then it came back. So it's like really just trying to get out of the mindset of this, like that depression, and just sitting still, because I know what I need to do in a way. Far as since I released my book, God really started speaking to me on becoming a motivational speaker. That was something I wanted to do, but it's also a fear as well, standing in front of a lot of people, standing in front of so many different people, speaking on my story or just speaking image. I'm sorry, someone was calling me at the same time while I was talking, but um it's just like, I think it's fear. I think it's a lot of fear that's just kind of standing in my way, and the self-doubt, feeling like my voice isn't powerful enough. I know it is deep down, but it's just something just standing there. And I just want to break away from that. And I thought putting my book out there would really move that blockage, but it hasn't.
So inside of Don't Muzzle Your Message, I actually talked about authors. And at the time, and I still believe this, this was like 2018 when that was self-published. I called authors silent speakers. And I say that not because you're silent, but because there's actually no voice to it, right? Your voice is in written form. It's not verbal. So I definitely want you to know that your voice has been, it's on pages now, but now it's time for you to add voice to it. And the easiest way to get speaking is by way of a book. Many people will buy your book just because you speak about it. And that's so many different ways, right? And then we'll still go to Tanada and we'll dive on it. But you can be vending. I tell vendors, my clients all the time, please don't vend and not ask for an opportunity on the mic. I don't care if it's 5 minutes, because your stuff will move more when you add voice to it, when they have a story, when they understand more. It's not just the pretty cover, although that matters. Please believe it. That matters. It's not just the back of, the synopsis at the end. It's not just that, but you actually adding voice to it will move it even more. Even after the book launch, many people have book launches and don't have a visibility plan afterwards. What do you do after that? Because that's like, oh, we hype, okay, and then all the books will sell, and then it's like, what happened? Now it's dead around here, and it's because you stopped showing up, or you didn't have a plan to keep that consistency, that momentum going, right? And so I want you to know that you sound like an overcomer. You've been through a lot, right? And there's probably many more books inside of you, but you just need a strategy. You need a plan, and people are going to want to hear it. I watched the movie. I don't know if it was Hallmark, because I'm such a hopeless romantic, but it was this movie about like two authors. One was like a very famous author, and it was the male, and there was this other, she was like a local author. Her mother was like a famous writer back in the day. So what happened was they ended up putting them together on a tour because they're like, with his fans already and with your good book, it can really blow you up. And so it was the visibility that really caused, but I was suits because I was like, they got a plan. Like, because when you plan a tour, it's not just one stop. You know, they had interviews and different things she had to do. And her fear was public speaking. He said, just talk about your book. They just want to hear more about your book. After she talked and got over herself, she sold the most books she had ever sold. But that's what he was doing. And she thought it was just for him. And he's like, no, I just realized that people want to hear from me about my book. It's like singers and artists, if they can break down and slow down, you know, and tell you, oh, you know, I was going through this when I wrote this song. We love it even more, right? People want to connect with your human self. And so if you just get past yourself, and of course, I said there's a few things, like there's an Unlock Your Voice workshop. And I'm really just saying, like, it really is. I've created these things because you're not the only person who's gone through this, but there's a Unlock Your Voice workshop inside of the Voice of Science Institute that you might want to check out also, because it's usually just us needing to do the internal work. So the other thing I didn't say is that before I got into speaking, I thought I was going to be a therapist. And so I studied psychology. And so now I infuse a lot of psychology in the work that I do with speakers. So if you feel like there's breakthrough happening, it's not a shocker for me. That's what you get when there's Ciara Shanae in the building. Okay, let's talk about it, Sarah. Let's talk about it. So Tanada is on you, and we are diving into the difference between basic marketing and brand visibility, because that's the foundation. I want to clear that up for you. And then we're talking about the 10 ways. Okay.
So I think for me, like, this is why I'm glad, because I actually took a break from social media. And then so I hop back on, I seen what Desiree posted in the group. I was like, okay, God, this must be, you know, part of my time. It's my season to learn, because for me, what I've been doing for me to show up is that I've been focusing on the last month and then the rest of this year to really discipline myself, so that I can sustain whatever God gives me, and as well as to live of what I speak. So I've been trying to, after my brunch, I had a makeup and ministry brunch for young ladies in September, to start putting myself out there to show them that there is community support for them. So after that, like, I went through a thing that Ciara went through mentally. So I know that I've been really disciplining myself so that I can deal with my mental the way I'm supposed to in every season that I go through, so that it's not a cycle, it's more so a journey for me. And I've been showing up by maximizing my 24 hours. So doing what I can every day to be productive. So I wake up earlier, I spend time to myself, I spend time in God's presence. I'm doing a lot to prepare myself for what's to come when I fully show up and show out.
Okay, she said show up and show out, and I'm here for it. Okay, because we don't just show up to play. Okay, we don't do that. So I'm going to share my screen. I want to share with you this graphic really quickly so you can see the difference between, because this is a common misconception. So I'm hoping to clear this up, because it'll make everything better if you get a better understanding of what it is. Here we go, present. Why am I scrolling down? All right. All righty. So you can screenshot this if you need to, take a picture, but I want you to understand what this is. Okay. So brand visibility is the frequency at which your ideal audience sees and experiences your brand via various marketing channels. And I know that sounds like a mouthful, but most people, they're like, even people that say they specialize in brand visibility, they say, oh, brand visibility is basically marketing. But what I learned in basic English is that you can't use the word in the definition. So marketing is in the definition, visibility and marketing can't be synonymous, right? So let me break this down just a little bit because it sounds like a mouthful, right? The frequency at which your ideal audience sees and experiences your brand via various marketing channels. What this pretty much means is the rate. It's the how often is it that your ideal audience is seeing and experiencing your brand, right? How many touch points? Maybe you heard about that. And it means that we're also, how do they see you these consistent times is by diverse or various marketing channels. So there is marketing, but the visibility itself is not the marketing. So it's by way of different ways you can market that causes for you to be visible. Following me? Let me check the chat.
Yes, ma'am.
Following me? I heard yes, ma'am. So it's not exactly the same. One example that I absolutely love to give, and this was a real life example, I met a young lady on Clubhouse. That's a marketing channel, right? If I'm on Clubhouse, and we're going to talk about that, but that's a marketing channel. I'm on Clubhouse. Next thing you know, she was my friend on Facebook. Next thing you know, she was also following me on Instagram. Next thing you know, she was in my Voice to Clients Lounge, which is my Facebook group. She was also on my email list. So imagine if I have all of this content going out, this woman, and she also showed up to my workshops. So this woman is getting brand visibility. She's getting she's getting my emails. She's seeing me go live in my Facebook group. She's catching me on Clubhouse. You see what I'm saying? So that's visibility all around. I feel like visibility, if you do it right, people should feel like they're getting a hug. And so another example, and I say a hug, but another example is if you've ever seen ads, because ads is a way to get visibility. It's not the way I teach, but it is a way that you can pay to get visibility. So maybe you're on Facebook, and then maybe you're on Instagram and you keep seeing it. It's very similar to that. I remember one time my therapist was telling me to do something to like debrief. So I started playing like this game on Facebook, and then I was seeing ads on this game. I'm like, oh, ads are here too. And so it's like I kept seeing they were consistently visible before me, right? And so that's brand visibility in a nutshell. The example I use is kind of what you might want to implement, something like that, where they're seeing you frequently. It's like they can't forget about you even if they wanted to. And that's how it should not be. A lot of speakers go from meet to delete, as I like to call it. I have a whole speech about it, because you meet a lot of people when you speak. You're showing up and you're getting in front of people, but you don't know what to do, right? You don't have sass with your brand visibility. It's not systematic. It's not strategic. It's not authentic, right? And so they're just meeting you and then deleting you from their short-term memory because they don't see you ever again because you're not visible. So that's one of the important factors of brand visibility. So on the other side of that, basic marketing, if I had to simplify the definition, is the process of getting prospective clients interested in your offer, then encouraging them to buy the offer. And so brand visibility, you might seed your offer, make people aware of your offer, but it's not necessarily what is encouraging them to buy. And so that's one of the things that differentiates marketing from visibility. Following me? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second so I can see faces. Following me? How was that? Got it? Clear? Yeah. Anybody thought visibility and marketing was the same? Anybody? But you understand now. Okay, I love it. I love it. I love it. Sharing my screen one more time. Let's go to this checklist. Everybody got the checklist? Let me see. Did you get to download it? Everybody got it? I want to make sure you have that. Okay, I'm still going to share it on my screen, but I want to make sure you have it. The beautiful thing, let me show you this. Let me show you this checklist that I worked on. So I'm going to go back to the screen and stop sharing my screen. I mean, you know what I meant to say. Go back to the screen. I'm going to stop sharing this. So I thought, you know what, let me stop again.
How do we get to the checklist from your link? Because I'm clicking the link and I see a link tree.
Oh, so you have to click the visible speaker workshop. And
Thank
then you
you.
put in the code. Sorry about that. You're very welcome. And then once you put in the code, you'll have to click through and you could download this checklist that I'm about to share now.
Code is GETUPBOSS, capital letters all together.
Yep, thank you, Desiree.
Mhm.
So this is the checklist when you do get it. You can see this. Everybody can see this pretty woman.
Yes.
Pretty woman. Okay. So, so here it is. 10 ways to be visible and vocal as a powerhouse speaker. And one thing I want to show you that is really cute. You can actually check what you've done. Okay. It's clickable. Okay. You can actually click what you've done before. So you can continue to do that with the how have you been showing up already? Okay. And then we can talk about it. I would love to know what you've been doing already. And then this also links to my Build Your Own Stage book. And we'll go to this part. But if you have to drop off at any time, please know that there is a text here. You can text the word visible speaker. And there's a special treat for you when you do that. Okay. But it's in the checklist, so you'll have it. So let's start at the top. Everybody ready?
Y'all ready? Yes.
Ready, 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 ready. So the first way to be visible and vocal is to dominate your speech before your niche audience. And I kind of jumped ahead of myself because what I talk about is it's in me. So I didn't even realize it's on here because it's what I always talk about. So, but again, there's a differentiation between just delivering your speech and dominating your speech. Right? There's a whole different power that comes when you actually dominate your speech. It's memorable. People don't forget it. People take action. People want to book you again, like when you dominate your speech versus just delivering the speech. So, but in addition to that, it's important that you're in front of your niche audience. Because I remember when I first got started speaking, I just wanted to speak. I just wanted to share my story. I just wanted to be heard. A lot of people start out that way. But then after a while, if you have real goals connected to you speaking, you're not going to really get the goals that you want. You're not really going to get clients, right? With voice to clients, if you're not in front of your niche audience. It's harder to do that because now you have to dig through all of these people and find out. Now, I do have a speech that I believe is on my YouTube channel now that one time I went to speak before an audience of entrepreneurs. So that's not specifically my niche, right? Because they're not all necessarily speakers. It was close. But one of the things I had to do was infuse in my speech to get them to shake in their hands so they're identifying themselves. Because remember, I spot my tribe when I get on stage and I start speaking to them. So whoever said they were a speaker, I made sure I talked to them in the back, at my table. I made sure I was talking to them during my speech. So it's hard. You got to sift through a little bit more. But if I went to, like, let's say Cheryl Wood's SpeakerCon, everyone at that event it's my niche audience. Almost everybody that I come in contact with would probably want to work with me, right? And so it's very important that we actually do that. So that's how you're visible and vocal. You dominate your speech. That's one way before your niche audience. Anybody been doing that? If you've been doing it, write a 1 in the chat. If you haven't, put a 2. We'll do that throughout all of this, okay? If you've been doing it, drop a 1. If you haven't and you need to start, possibly put a 2. Okay, I love that. I'm seeing a balance. I love it. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. And the 2s are great too, because you know what that does? That means that this is why I'm here. This is why I had to tell you that this needs to happen. It has to happen. So, all right, let's make it happen. Okay, Sonata. So the next thing you need to do to be visible and vocal as a powerhouse speaker is you need to host a masterclass or workshop for your tribe. Okay, for your tribe. These are what I like to call your tribe. It's like twofold, right? It's your niche audience, but then it's also those who have already opted in. So I started spending more time in my Facebook group and not just on my social media platforms in the front, because my tribe, my email list is my tribe. Those who opted into my Facebook group, they're my tribe. Everybody on the internet is not my tribe. And so it's, again, more work to just be doing all of this content. Not to say you shouldn't do it, but doing all of this content for people that not to say they don't deserve to be nurtured, but I was slacking on the people that I should be nurturing. So I started flipping it because my time is it's limited. It's of the essence. I got a 1-year-old. I'm back at work. So I'm like, I need to be spending time with who I need to be spending time with. And that's the same thing for you all. Can't be afraid. One of my closest sister friends, she's like, I've been sitting on this workshop forever, but I'm talking to you because I know you're going to make me do it. I sure am. Why are you sitting on it? You know your stuff, and do it for your tribe. And then she was like, oh my gosh, everybody's signing up. They've been waiting for you to do a work to teach them something. Thank you for all the free content, but they want to really learn and spend time with you. So that's something. Again, in the chat, write a 1, 2, 1, 2. 1 is if you've been doing that already. 2 is if you haven't done it. Okay. Yes, Kay, for our tribe. Emphasis, stretch that. Okay. For our tribe. 1, you've been doing it. Okay, Chanel, I see you. Neffy, okay, you're doing it. Okay. I think I saw Desiree go first. She wrote a 1 first. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Let's see. You said you tried. Girl, we're going to have to talk about that. What happened? We can't talk right now, but we're going to have to talk. Is it Deborah? I hope it's Deborah. She says she was doing it, but she stopped. Come on. It's just a reminder tonight. And sometimes we may not see the fruit, or we may not see, what it is that we wanted. Or, sometimes we jam-packed it too much and overwhelm people. It's, you just got to look and see what happened. Did I not market it enough? It could be sometimes because people didn't sign up and you think like maybe they weren't interested, but sometimes it's not the case. Maybe you didn't market it enough. So definitely reevaluate and go back. All right. The next thing you need to do to be visible and vocal as a powerhouse speaker is to share specific tips and quotes as an expert panelist. Another thing I didn't tell you all is I'm very particular with my wording. I'm technical with my wording. So I was very specific with this, okay? Specific tips and quotes as an expert panelist. I didn't just say sit on a panel. I didn't. This speaks to how you should prepare. People are like, how do you sit on panels, Ciara? Because in my mind, I'm always, how can I show up and be visible as a specialist of my message? So there's specific tips that I will want to give when I'm sitting on that panel that shows that I'm the expert, shows that I'm the specialist, that builds the brand, lets them know that I know my stuff. And then there's quotes, because if you pay attention to a lot of famous speakers, they quote themselves. They don't just wait for you to quote them. They quote themselves also. So there's a lot of things that I tell. One of the quotes that I say all the time, and it's because I taught it once to my clients and Dominate Your Speech. And then I was like, you know what? I like that. I'm gonna keep saying it. And I say it all the time. Here it goes. You always need to take note of yourself and quote yourself. Okay, take note of yourself and quote yourself. Because one of the things that I say when I do my speaker self-talk is that when I open up my mouth, amazing things come out. And that can help from a lot of you ladies that have been struggling with your inner voice. When I open up my mouth, amazing things come out. When I open up my mouth, amazing things come out. When you truly understand and believe that, you also need to start taking note of the amazing things that's going to come out. We say stuff on the phone while we're speaking, don't get the recording, and then we have no way to get that stuff back. Or we don't write it down, right? That's the way you take note of it. Take note of yourself and quote yourself. Take note of yourself and quote yourself, because when you open up your mouth, amazing things come out. And that's some of the things, that's the time when you're a panelist to start letting those quotes come out and start having that prepared. And you should prepare. There's content that represents your brand, tips that you would always be able to share with no matter who the audience is, that you can share, because they never heard it before, and because you still stand true by it, that when you're sitting on the panel, it's not all like, oh, I didn't know they were going to ask me that. I don't know what to say. Like, no, that's not what professional speakers do. We put in work. Okay. One of my best friends was so surprised one time she went with me to speak. We traveled out of state, and it was in the middle of the pandemic. It was like about August into the pandemic, and I spoke in Pennsylvania. I'm in New Jersey, but she was like, were you practicing your speech in the shower? Like, yeah, like I was, because I don't want the first time I get on stage to be the first time I ever said it. Because how else can it be fluid? How else could it flow? Because sometimes you get tongue-tied, not just because you're nervous, but because you're still trying to find your placement. Like, no, I know my points. Let me just talk it through. When I'm driving to a place, I'm talking it through. The same way with this. Like, some people ask me, oh, do you recommend talking in front of the mirror? Not necessarily, but you know what that is? It's just talking it through. It's just talking it through. So you want to make sure you have specific tips that you've prepared in quotes as you sit on an expert panelist, not just a panel. Oh, we just want a bunch of y'all to talk. Like, no, then that's not the panel for me, because I'm coming to talk about what I specialize in. And I ultimately want to get in front of my clients. I don't just speak to just share my opinion anymore. I'm not an opinionated speaker. I'm a specialized speaker. Although I have opinions, I don't have to sit on your panel for that. Like, it's a self-esteem thing. It's speaker self-esteem. And people only treat you how you allow them to treat you and how you carry yourself ultimately. And so it's really important that the mindset elevates and you understand I'm a specialist. I don't just know what I'm talking about. Like, no, people truly need what I have. And so I have to show up correct and show them I'm the solution. I'm what you've been waiting for. Everything you're looking up at night and that's keeping you up. Like, I know what you need to do, and you need to connect with me. And that's how I show up. And that's how you should show up. That's how my clients show up. So again, 1 and 2 in the chat, 1 and 2 in the chat. And I want it to be like, not just you sat on a panel, but have you also, so this one's a little bit more in depth, have you had specific tips and quotes that you prepared? Because you may have sat on a panel, but I do want to know also if you sat on a panel. You could just be like panel and then write your number. Panel means you've been on a panel, but I want to know specifically if you been showing up as a specialist when you sit on these panels. And so a lot of my speaker clients, they're like, oh my gosh, like, I did not realize I just talk off from my heart, or I just talk from my head. I just talk on the fly. And talking from your heart is beautiful, right? But you can speak from your heart and be prepared. Like, you really can. I still speak from my heart. I'm still purpose driven. Don't get it twisted, right? But I don't just go up there and just wing it all the time. A lot of times these are things I've sat and like thought about, not even just because I'm preparing for a speaking event, but just because I'm preparing to always be on top of my message and what I have to say and my view on my specialty. Thank you, ladies. I see you. I see the twos. And Deborah says she never sat on a panel. I think, honestly, a lot of, for the first time speakers or the new speakers, I said this before and I'll say it again, panels are the best place to start. We think just hopping on the stage is it, but no, sitting on a panel, getting used to what your thought process would be like and what your stance is and being amongst others, like, a panel is what it is. The only thing is you got to make sure if the panel isn't, if they don't direct it to certain speakers, sometimes you got to jump in. You got to get in where you fit in, because you could sit there and had not spoken at all and everybody just overspoke you and you just sat up there looking cute and they took a picture and you were there, So you also got to know when to jump in too, politely. I like to talk on this one for, I'll go next on that. I have something that's really important because I've sat on panels when I was younger and in this, and I was just like, when are they gonna let me speak? And you can't always sit. Again, that's why you got to do the inner work on knowing that your voice needs to be heard, because you'll just, but the people that's not afraid to speak, they'll just be speaking and they'll take up all that time. So Desiree says she hasn't sat on a panel. Ooh, it just bounced down. Hold on. Yet. She said, let her get herself in position now, please. And thank you. Please do, girl. Please do. Please do. It's a great place to start. Honestly, I think before I actually got into speaking, I was invited on a panel. And it got me used to speaking in front of people. It was just great. But yeah, and I think that's one of the things that makes it easier for me, because all of the what are people thinking about and all of that, I was able to overcome it by sitting on the panel and not really having to have a full script and full speech, you know? And when I say script, I mean like manuscript, like a full speech ready. I just literally can just answer questions, you know? An interview is similar, so that's something too, but an interview is, to me, when you start interviewing, you want to have your thoughts together. You want to have your stances on things already. But a panel, you can kind of just feel your way around. Nobody knows, you know, but again, I still say prepare, try to get it together. But yeah, if somebody asks you on a panel tomorrow and you're not prepared, do it anyway. Because a panel, you could literally practice there. That's a great place to practice. Sarah said she sat in a panel for work a few times. It was wonderful. She loves it. Oh, this is good. Keep note of that, because you might need to be sitting on more panels intentionally because you also enjoyed it. So that was good. That's good. It builds credibility already. If you're on an expert panel, they're like, oh, they know their stuff. Even if you don't, they think you do. It's branding. So it's a good place. I'm trying to see what else I'm missing. I was a voice for mothers in the community on a panel a few times and engaged with 4 others on that panel. I love it. Oh, that's beautiful. So I guess mothers, they're your niche audience, Sarah. You wrote a book. She wrote a book about mothers yet? Desiree, Sarah? Something for mothers?
Well, that's my work, like far as my 9 to 5.
Oh, you work with moms in your 9 to 5. Who do you serve outside of your 9 to 5?
It seems as if women in general, that's my ministry, is women. So I find a lot to do with more of the African American community is who I work with my 9 to 5. But outside of that, it's kind of like that light I have on me where I draw women just naturally. So
Okay.
mothers and babies, basically children. But that's usually I don't like to use the word target audience, but
Niche
mainly
audience. Niche audience. So you want a niche, you know, you don't want to be so broad. When I first got started, I said I work with women speakers, and I still work with women speakers, but now I work with women professional speakers primarily, right? Because public speaker versus a professional speaker is different, and every woman is not in the same state. So when you think about being a specialist, and I have a whole nother workshop on that, but when you think about being a specialist, they have a specific solution. That means that the audience that needs that solution also has a specific issue and need. You get what I'm saying? And so when they have that specific need and issue, you don't have to convince them for your solution because they understand the value and they need it. Whereas you're like, oh, that's nice, but I don't need that. You get what I'm saying? When you think about like a heart surgeon, and I always give this example, if the person is like near death and they're like, my child needs this heart surgery or they won't survive, versus like a generic doctor, they're going wherever the specialist is. And if you think about movies like, is it Heaven is for Real? No, it's the other movie it's the other movie like Heaven is for Real with the little girl, and Queen Latifah was in it. But the mom, can't think about it right now. Miracles from Heaven? I don't know. It's some movie. I'm gonna find it for y'all before this is over. But it's a great movie. But what it shows is the power of a specialist, for sure. Like, she didn't care how far they had to travel. She dropped everything. She didn't care how she had to scrape up the money because he was a specialist and her baby girl needed it. And so that's one of the powers of niching. Having that niche audience needs that specialty that you have. You don't have to convince them, beg them, persuade them for it. And when a lot of times we end up being there and it is like frustrating, like, I know what I have is good. Why am I, you don't have to do any of that. And so I just asked you because I was reading. It's a teachable moment for everybody. but we think being broad is helpful, but it's really not. It's not helpful for you, and it's not helpful for those you serve. Even when you niche, you can study that audience in more detail. Rather than studying all types of women, you can literally get to know them in and out. And then you'll hear more of what I hear, like, oh, wow, that's really me. Like the moment I started working with speakers specifically and not just entrepreneurs, it got even more real. Because now I can study about speakers and what holds them back and what do they need. And, whereas entrepreneurs, there's so much that happens in entrepreneurship. You get what I'm saying? So I know
Yeah.
it might be tough. It might be tough. It's not easy. It was hard for me. I was like, what? But I also began to think about like superheroes. I like superheroes and Marvel. Thank you, Desiree. Like they don't go out there saving every city. When you hear about, a lot of these superheroes, they have a city that they know that can call on them. And that's it. So I started thinking about that when it came to niching. Like I want to save my city, my little world, right? Not little, but my world, not the whole world, my world. And so I want you to start thinking about that, ladies, okay? A lot of information, but I think we all needed to hear this. It is a lot, but it's specific. We're literally just talking about 10 ways to be visible. But if things come up, I want to be able to like give you these coachable moments so that you can see the change. Exactly. Gotham calls Batman, period. It's only Santa Claus really that go around the whole world, right? Like he's not a superhero, but he the only one that be trying to go all across the whole world by Christmas. Okay. Gotham calls Batman. And that's the example that I couldn't think about, but that's exactly it. That's it. Okay, I love you. That Sarah says I have pen and paper present, and she's loving all the info. So let's keep going, and I'm gonna go a little bit faster, and then y'all already know y'all can start dropping y'all ones and twos by the time I read it. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is you want to be a guest for a live interview on a podcast show. So I kind of, again, jumped the gun because I just be saying what with the content that's in here already. I talked about, you might want to sit on a panel before you're interviewed, but you also want to be interviewed because sometimes with the SEO, the search engine optimization, people can find you on other people's podcast shows. One of my coaches, she said that one of her coaches interviewed her on a podcast show years ago. And then years later, people were finding her, asking to work with her, all because she did this podcast show. So people are now becoming visible of her because they know the coach or they found the coach's interview. However, and now they're like finding her and getting in contact with her because now they're aware of who she is. Ones and twos. I don't see that. Ones and twos. So being a guest on a live interview for a podcast show. Now, live interviews don't always have to be podcasts. They can be live IG interviews, Facebook live interviews. It's so many different ways. YouTube, pre-recorded interviews, but I just wanted to be specific with podcasts here. And I know some of you guys were interested in your own podcast, but being on other people's podcasts, especially like there's this one podcast show, I need to reach it back out to her because I just wanted to get to know my schedule at work. That's why I didn't plan it yet. But I think she has like 400,000 downloads. And that's the podcast you need to get on. And she's waiting on me. She's waiting on me, but I just wanted to make sure I was like, ready. But now I feel like I'm good. I got my office at my job. I know when I'm the only one in the office. So make that happen. I know where my lunches are. So that type of thing. I'm gonna go in my office on my lunch and we're gonna do this podcast interview. Because when I get home to baby boy or family, and don't know what that's gonna sound like because things are different now. But yeah, you want to get on podcasts. Desiree asked a question. She said, do you think it's good to reach out to podcasts? Absolutely. So when you get out there, like I said, when you get out there with your 3 specialties, I've become a sought after speaker, and a lot of my clients become sought after. So it takes a lot of the heavy lifting. However, I still apply and pitch for things as well. So I'm not too good for that. I apply and pitch and I'm sought after. So those are the three things. You want to apply, pitch, and be sought after. And that's when you dominate and you're specific with, people know what you talk about. But she's like, oh, I know you work with speakers. I need you, like that's how I was sought after for this, and we just connected, and here we are. So yeah, you want to become sought after, but it's usually by your specialty and your niche that people do that. It happens so easily all the time. Come on. Is it Kiana? Kiana says all the time. I want you to drop one of your podcast interviews that you've been on in the chat, and you should be able to find it. Okay, I'm just saying that, we also could do that. We could do podcast interviews and then don't have a list of links. People gonna want to hear it, like, and reference it. So that's good. That's good, Sarah. Come on, she's on podcast interviews. Oh, sorry, Sarah. Sarah said she hit the wrong one. It's okay. It's okay. Well, it's happening. It's gonna happen. All right, the next one, get ready for your 1s and 2s. You need to drive traffic to video content. So I gave some examples because, a lot of us just do video content and we don't know why we're doing it. We're just doing it, right? We're doing reels, we're uploading to YouTube, etc. Right? There's other video content platforms and different ways. There's live stream. There's so much, right? But video content is known to be very, very good as far as it comes to visibility. Like it's the top in the type of content you can make. If it's written or a graphic, a pretty, Canva graphic, they say above all of that, you should be doing video and people see it more, right? But this specific line says driving traffic to it. A lot of us don't think about driving traffic. What we do is we just keep uploading video and then no one's seeing it. But sometimes we have to drive traffic to it, whether it's just sending it out to your email list and then putting the link to your video content, or you're uploading a blog and you're making that video be in that at the bottom of that blog. You need to make sure that people see it. You have to drive traffic to that. And Deborah says, 1, she's been doing it. You've been driving traffic. Okay, come on, Kiana. I'm just glad you dropped it in the chat. I'm gonna watch it later. I clicked it and opened it. Okay, Sarah, that's cool. That's cool. All right, Desiree, we see you. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going. You also want to create collaborative live streams and or audio rooms. And so this is what causes for you to be visible. So earlier we talked about Clubhouse, but what I have learned is when you collaborate, especially on Instagram. So let's talk about specifically Instagram live streams and the audio rooms on Clubhouse, right? But when you do it with people, right? If you're in this group and in this community, I don't know why not. Seeing who has specific niches, who have similar niches, so that you guys can get together and do these collaborative live streams, because most likely you're talking about similar things, talking to the same audience, getting together. So Instagram Live, I found, if like say 4 of y'all collaborate, now the people that are following you are popping into the live, and the people that are following them are popping into the live, and so on and so forth. So now all of you are getting exposure. I remember when I used to do that months ago, right after my son was born, child. I was getting more followers and more people were becoming known. That live stream has more numbers, more viewers than typically when I would do it on my own. Even those who have billions of followers, you still find them at least being interviewed on somebody's live stream or sometimes collaborating as well, because it works. It works. And so Desiree said collaboration is always open. I love it. So let's do it. Okay, let's get it going. And then Sarah says, I've been actually talking to other authors about this recently and other speakers, as you should. So here's your confirmation right here, sis. Make it happen, okay? And so Clubhouse is similar. Like I could open my own room. I have my own club, but it was the moment that I had other people speaking on stage with me that their followers are now notified that they're speaking. It's the same thing. And then the room is more active, is more, full because you're not doing it by yourself. We think it's the solopreneur mindset, like, we got it all. We're all bad by ourselves. But it's even myself, like I have a podcast, but I have a collaborative podcast. I'm on it with two of my best friends. And when we thought about doing it, of course, it was a great idea with two of my best friends, but I could have did a podcast by myself. But a podcast by yourself is hard to push a lot of traffic to it by yourself. But if it's three of us, if it's the power of collaboration, it can go so much further, faster. And so I prefer having my podcast with them, and I have my own YouTube channel, but I don't want to do a podcast on my own. It's so tough, so we all delegate different roles and we share different elements to that podcast. It's the Wholeness Formula podcast. We're actually relaunching in 23. So you won't be able to find anything but our Instagram right now because we're relaunching. But yeah, because life happened. I was a mom, my best friend moved, so much life happened, but we're getting back to it. And we're really excited about that. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you. So collaboration, it will give you more visibility. The next thing is you can publish a blog, like I said, with a related YouTube or podcast episode. So it's driving traffic to that YouTube video, that podcast episode. And then the blog has SEO, which is search engine optimization. And that's how people are able, it has like certain keywords. So when people search in a search engine, let me just break down so it's so simple. Like they search in the search engine, like when you look on Google, I don't really use Bing, but let's say people look on Bing, YouTube has become like a search engine. Pinterest have become like a search engine. And so SEO is very big on all of those platforms. So when blogs are not dead because you're able to have SEO, and that's something that can last for a long time. Very similar to podcasts. Podcasts can have SEO as well. And so people can find that blog. I know for me, when I'm looking up something, I'm trying to figure something out, I end up on almost everybody's blog, like trying to figure out how to do something. It's a blog. But it's because they had certain keywords and now I didn't even know who they were before that, and so don't think blogs are dead, but I just, I wouldn't put too much energy into them because blogs take a while, because SEO takes a while to build up. Like I would do it, but don't expect a fast return, it's sometimes it's a long game when it comes to blogging. Anybody ones and twos for blogs? I'm trying to get back to it. So I don't do a lot of blogs, but I did one blog in September. That was the last blog I did. And so I'm waiting, I'll probably write another one here and there, maybe once a quarter, and just let that SEO build up. But it's very important. And then especially wanting to monetize my YouTube channel, I really was like, oh, I could add a YouTube video at the bottom. So I did that too. And it was a related video. So if they wanted more information about what I talked about in the blog, they will watch that YouTube video. So you see how we're driving traffic to everything, and they're seeing me not just once, but multiple times, because brand visibility is about the frequency at which they see and experience your brand, right? By diverse marketing channels. And that's why it seems like, oh, everybody's doing all of the things. But it is about the diversity, but it doesn't mean I'm like, again, I said I haven't written a blog since September. So I'm not trying to do a blog every day or every week. That's not in my brand visibility plan. So I see you guys, see you, Sarah, I see you, Devonna. Okay, no blogs yet. And some of you, if you're a better writer, you might want to think about blogging at least once a month. So keep that in mind, okay? Then the next thing I'll say, get your ones and twos ready, is communicating weekly with your list. And so in parentheses, it says plus audio or video. What I'm saying is, but communicating weekly with your list, I'm talking about your email list or your text message list, because text message is good too. Okay, but you might want to add an audio clip or a video to this, because again, everything we're doing tonight is visible and vocal. If you just email them all the time and there's no audio or video, it's not the vocal part, right? You're visible because they got the email in the inbox, but there's no vocal part to it. So that's me adding vocals. So you can add the link to a video or add the link to a SoundCloud audio or a Spotify link, to a podcast somewhere interview. So you want to also try to add those, even if it's in your PS, in your signature, you want to add your voice. Okay. Let me go up. I see some comments and we're almost done. I'll open up for questions and pass it to Desiree in a little bit. Kiana says she loves writing, but never thought about a blog. See, girl, that's why you here tonight. That's why God be doing what he be doing. Because I always say he's strategic. He knows. He makes no mistakes. So Desiree says, yes, Kiana, and you can add a YouTube link. She didn't think of that. Yes. Come on, let's go. So I'm assuming Kiana has a YouTube channel up and running. Okay. Dara says, that's awesome. Let's get it. I'm loving that you ladies are liking it. All right, we're almost done. This one is one of my favorites. I did this one recently as well. You can allow the audience to experience your brand as an MC. Okay, so pretty much you can MC an event, but not only do you keep the flow of the event going, they should be experiencing your brand. So if anyone asks me to speak, they know that I'm going to infuse some type of speaking into whatever we're doing for the night. It's going to be empowering. Like I'm going to be my brand as the MC so that people also experience, the audience also experience me. So if they decide that they want to connect with me in any kind of way, they experienced me. Understand where I'm going with that? Whereas sometimes, not to say we don't support the event, I'm there for the event, but I also understand that my voice is a whole experience. And so I'm bringing that experience too. It's not the same way as you would on a panel, but you have that mic in your hand. It's not just for you to just read. Next we have coming up, Sarah, she's going to speak on this. Like, no, it's for you to infuse you in between as well. Ever been to an event and the MC is amazing? You're like, who is this woman? Where did they find her? Like, I want to know her, because not only are you thinking about this is a great experience, you're liking what she's adding also. And so that's really important. A lot of us, we don't think about that. If you ever MC'd, you may have just supported the event and that's wonderful, but you may also might put your brand to the back. And I'm telling you, it should be all together. If they're asking you to MC as a part of what you've shown, a part of your brand, they actually want it as an element of the event. And so you should include it. It should show up with you. Your brand should be there too. So really, really important. I wanted to go up. Somebody said this is good. Trezana, did I say it right?
You did. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll be trying not to jack up people's names. I'm getting better, but that's a beautiful, unique name. I love it. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. Make sure you hold on to your seat. You're going to be one of the first people I want to talk to when we open up for questions, okay?
Okay, yes, ma'am.
All right. And so let me go down back to the bottom. I see some numbers. All right, Sarah. Okay. Sarah's like, she's been doing that. Come, you've been MCing, Sarah. I love it. I love it. Neff might, you might want to think about MCing. You might just want to think about that, right? And then Sarah says, when she was a part of the domestic violence event, she was a vendor for her book as well. And she made sure she spoke on domestic violence and added her book in as an interview. Come on, that's how you're supposed to do it. That's how you're supposed to. Now you see, I'm like, so is domestic violence one of your niches? I mean, one of your specialties, one of your pieces of your story? Like, girl, we gonna have to figure this out. Tess. Yeah, but DV definitely has a special place in my heart. I've unfortunately been on that side, so I totally get it. And I get it because so much we could talk about that. But I get it. And I'm so glad you were able to speak because it's needed. It's so needed. I've thought about working with that population just to give back because they feel like they lose their voice so much. And even when I was going through it, I couldn't believe I didn't tell my best friends. I was like, I didn't even tell my best friend. Like I literally didn't tell nobody. I was silent for multiple reasons. And so but I wrote the book in the middle of it. I wrote the book, Don't Muzzle Your Message, in the middle of it. So God is incredible. But he was sending me a message like your muzzles is, because he talked to me first before the message, went out to anybody else. But then I published the book and he was like, you're still muzzled. I was like, what in the world? What did I tell? And so he started showing me some of those shameful parts. I like to say, our shameful stories. So when I work with my speaker clients, like you need to get used to sharing your shameful stories first before we start talking about your success stories. Because if you can really embrace all of you, that's an even greater powerful you haven't even tapped into yet. If shame has a grip on you, you'll always be held back. You'll always be not showing up fully. You'll always be halving everything that you do. So once you can really embrace it all, good, bad, and different, like that changes the game. Like I would have never thought, like when I was going through DV, I was like, how did I end up here? Now I'm like, I understand why I had to go through it, but it ain't gonna happen to me again. I'm telling you that it ain't gonna happen again, but I understand why I had to go through it. So thank you, Sarah. There's so much strength in me now, like, but I had to go through it. It's so much I learned and so much God that I've seen in the middle of it. That's a whole nother story for another day. You know what? I'm gonna share it just a little bit, y'all. Because I remember thinking the next morning that I was gonna feel the pain of the blows, because in the moment I didn't feel the pain of the blows. And I was just like, maybe it's adrenaline. But that's when I saw God, because the next morning, as petite as I am, there was nothing broken, nothing bruised, no pain. And so when I tell you, I was like, God, you was with me, because that makes no sense. I remember seeing like forcibly, like it going back up, like it's no way. There's no way. And so there's so much that I saw in that marriage that really drew me closer to God. I saw him on a whole different level. And so I had to see God. I had to see him be the God that can block it, literally block it. So I just wanted to share that, because I was about to hold back, and I was like, what are we doing? We're not muzzling our messages around here. And somebody I'm sure needs to hear that, but God can do it. And of course, I'm not the type that's going to jump in front of a car like, God, stop the car. I'm definitely not going to, do that. But I was grateful that he showed up in that way. So grateful that he showed up in that way. I forget what the scripture is, but like, I'm not going to like throw myself off of a cliff and hope that God will, lift up my foot. It's something like that. Like, no, but God did it. He did it. It's him. So he's with us even in the craziest times of life. Oh, you're welcome, Kiana. Desiree, okay, Desiree needed that. I'm so glad. Kiana said, thank you for letting it out. Yes, a thriver. Come on, let's go, Sarah. Girl, I'm telling you. And then Sarah says she found her voice after encounter with DV. See? So Dara says it's powerful. It's like, I'm telling you, I just never would have thought that would happen to me. What am I doing here? So I understand how women get where they are and why they don't leave and all of the stuff that I would have never understood on the outside looking in. With most people are very judgmental and they just don't get it. I wouldn't have gotten it either had I not experienced it firsthand. So God knows what he's doing. I'm thinking about giving back to one that's local to me. I haven't done it yet, but I've only been 2 years removed. So I was kind of just still healing from it all. But God is faithful. I was like, oh, he's just good. But the last thing I'll say, 10 ways to be visible and vocal, is you want to build your own stage by hosting branded experiences. Build your own stage by hosting branded experiences. Branded experiences is my creative way of saying events, because they should be experiences. And you should really think about the branding of the event. I believe in all of the things, all of the banners, all of the tables, all of the worksheets, because all of that becomes a part of the experience. I don't believe in just throwing events together. I believe in making memorable, branded experiences. And then that's one of the ways, not only hopping on other people's platforms, but building your own stage. And so when I told you I wrote that book and Google Keep in the grocery store parking lot in the middle of the pandemic, I wrote my ebook, Build Your Own Stage, which literally teaches how I began to build my own stage. Because when I started speaking as a speaker, because someone asked me in my group, they were like, you know, how do I get more speaking engagements when nobody would really give me the opportunity to speak? I was like, you build your own stage. And you know what? I'm gonna write the book about it so you know exactly what that means. Because it sounds good, but how do you actually apply that? So it's literally, that's why I said it's implementable. And people are implementing it because you literally, it tells you step by step. What do you do to get this, to build the stage, to create the event? And what do you do after the event to evaluate it, its success and its effectiveness? And if you gain if you actually accomplish the goals that you want. So it's a great read. It's a short read too, which I love because it's not about reading long. It's about you putting it into action. So that's Build Your Own Stage. And as I told you, you guys can click these, but you could also click this as well if you wanted to dive into that. Simple $29, but definitely jam packed. Okay. You can put your ones and twos if you ever built your own stage. You didn't wait for anybody to give you a platform. You built it yourself. You hosted your own event. I don't care if it was your book launch, and that's building your own stage. Okay. Let's go. I'm here for it. Come on, ones. Come on, ones. I see you, Tristana. All right. So I'm going to say this and we're going to open up for Q&A. So of course, this is like, you know, even if I wasn't here with you, you know, how many did you check off? Because we talked about it, but you could literally check how many were you already doing out of the 10. And so it's one thing to do all of the things that you feel you are supposed to do, but it's another thing to do specific visibility activities that are realistic, excuse me, authentic, and super attractive to clients. And so I want you to text me so we can discuss this more. And that's the text below. Text visible speaker to 862-316-3339. I'm sorry, I said it totally wrong. 862-319-3339. So 862-319-3339. You can send visible speaker. And I saw someone say good night. So good night, girl. Savannah. Okay, not a problem. We'll definitely connect more. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and we're gonna go to Tristana first for questions and comments. Because if you want to comment first, you can.
Well, I want to say I was out with my son when it first came on, so I was kind of in and out. The reception was bad, so I missed like the beginning of it, which I'm a little mad. I'm glad it's recorded, but I want to thank you for taking the time out. I feel like as Black women, we have a hard time sharing information, feeling like if we give this, then we won't get clients, people won't come to us. And it's like just being able to give just these quick tips and just something for us to hold on to. I'm really grateful for that. And it was, you know, just a lot of information, but good information. So this was really, really, really powerful. And then your testimony, I know you gave it in short, but just the power behind that. And, you know, just a testament of what God can really do when you are focused and really handling the business that he's giving you. So I really wanted to say, I appreciate that. I did have a question about, which one was it? I'm sorry. The 10 ways to be visible and vocal. The first one was dominate your speech before your niche audience. What did you mean by that specifically?
Oh, perfect. Because you did say you jumped in later. So I talked about the difference between delivering a speech and dominating your speech, right? And so when you dominate, pretty much you're remembered. People have a really good impression of what your speech is. They want to invite you more, right? And then being in front of the niche audience. So you show up to dominate. Like you don't just show up to deliver,
a little
Right.
speech just to share it, right? I show up to dominate. But then also the niche audience part is your specific audience that is in dire need of your solution, right? So it's not, oh, I just talk to a broad audience. It's a niched audience because you know that you have specialties. And when you're the specialist of your message, there's a niche audience that needs it already and understand the value of it. And you don't have to do as much convincing and persuading for them to find interest in it because they're the niche audience and you're the specialist.
Okay, perfect. That makes sense. I think I had another question, but you can move on and then I'll just think about it.
Okay, I'm here for it. It's less of us now, so it's good.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for going first and let me call on you. Anybody else? Neffy, Sarah. I didn't hear much from, is it, I feel like I'm gonna say that name right. Wrong, Mr. Dupree. I haven't heard from her all night. If you can.
Before Tony say something, I wanted to say this. Sorry, Tony. I love you.
Thank you, Tony is what I call you.
I wanted to say, dang, I had it. Oh, you were, I love this. You said create a collaborative live stream and you were talking about collabing on a podcast. And I'm glad you brought that up because I have two sisters that's like, they're not my blood sister, but they like, I came to them like, man, I want to do a podcast. So I had created the podcast probably about a year ago, but never did anything with it. And I was like, I felt like God gave me what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm like, I need to do it. And so when I bring the idea to them, they're like, yeah, we should collab. And I was like, I wasn't planning on doing it like that. Right. But as you were speaking, it's so funny. It just shifted my heart. And I just thank you, Holy Spirit, because I needed that shift because it's hard for certain things. Like for me, when it comes to my ministry, it's my baby. So I'm super protective of it. And so it's like, I know y'all good and everything like that, but you kind of have the vision and sometimes people don't know how to execute exactly how you see it. But like you were saying, it's kind of hard to navigate those things on your own, especially when you're navigating through all of these other aspects of your business, your ministry, or whatever the case may be. So for me, that was really confirmation. And I'm more of, I felt like I ditched the actual audio podcast and they have the, StreamYard, I think on Facebook, which I really love because I'm more of a visual person. And I think that people do better when they see me than just hearing me. And so I appreciate your willingness to collab. I actually, even growing up in school, when they say group project, I'm like, I'm not, no, I'm doing this by myself. Like I was that person in school. And I think now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, do I got a little perfectionism in me? I don't think I ever, even thought about that. But now that I think about it, I feel like I may have some of that. But just thinking about in school group projects, those things kind of made me a little fearful. So thinking about moving forward in something like that, something that could be so powerful or something so significant was really scary until you really just broke that ice and was like, man, I did this with my two friends, we kind of do this and tag teaming because we do know collaborating is that much easier or it's more helpful. But man, you shifted something inside of me, sis, because I'm gonna be honest with you. Look, they keep saying, when we gonna launch? And I'm like, next year, just keep saying that. I keep putting it off. And because I couldn't wrap my mind around doing that and what that would even look like. So thank you for your willingness to collab, right? And being able to come back to us and share that because that really just set me free. So thank you.
I am so glad. And this is what I would say. I want to say two things. One, I would say they're the aunties of this baby, right? Imagine if I never trusted anybody else with my son, ever. That means he wouldn't be in daycare. He wouldn't go with his dad. Like imagine that I wouldn't be here so freely still here. He probably would have been in bed already. Yeah, no, he would have been in bed already. I would have had to, all right, bye, y'all, gotta cut this off, right? And so imagine that. So I look at it like that. And then because I get it, we did our podcast together. So the vision was brewed like literally from the beginning together. Like the name, everything. So we conceived it together, right? However, they could be co-hosts, right? And literally like co-hosts. Like we're all co-hosts, me and my friends, my best friends, but you could still be the lead of this thing. But this, let me break you free a little bit more, and I want you to tell us about it. But I feel like everything, oh, so let me say this too. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I get it. I'm recovering, right? But when we understand that perfection is not achievable, like only person that's perfect is God, and He perfects us. Like we can only do it in our excellence. And then sometimes when you get started, you get better. You can't get better at anything you've never done. So if it doesn't exist, it can't even improve. So that's another thing. You can't see your progress. There's no progress. It's only stagnation. Like it's only procrastination. You want perfection, but you got procrastination, right? And so you got to really pink slip procrastination is what I used to always say when I was a career strategist. Like you got to pink slip it, fire it, kick it out, because it's not gonna work. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, with you saying you don't know how to wrap your mind around things, imagine when you start letting them in and they can add insight that you've been stuck on for however long if you let them in. Like imagine that, their minds, their thoughts, their innovations. And then next thing you know, like, what? That's a great idea. Like I was stuck on that. And it's because you're keeping them out that you're also not clear. Like they can come in and give you the clarity that you need. That's the power of collaboration. And these are not strangers. These are your best friends. These are your sisters. They're not blood sisters, but you claim them like such and you won't let them in. So you got to do that inner work, and you're holding the podcast back. You got to think about that too. And Don't Muzzle Your Message, we talk a lot about the book that I published. We talk a lot about how your people need it. And so the first chapter is about showing up. It's literally show up. And then it talks about like, you know what? Nah, they don't need me. They can get an Uber if they need to. It's like a car analogy, right? They can get an Uber if they still waiting on me to show up. They should Uber by now. They should start walking by now. But you're literally the vehicle that they need. So when you realize I'm the specialist of my message, I'm the vehicle that they need, I can't downplay that. I can't think it's not significant. And so the longer that this is not out, whatever message that you're putting out there, there's people that are literally stuck until you are the vehicle to move them forward. And so bring them in. They don't have to be the top and take all over everything. You can have that clear understanding. Hey, y'all, this has been my baby. Y'all know that. But when I mentioned to you, I loved your excitement. I'm giving you the word. You can write this down. Okay. If you ain't know what to say, now you know how to say and make this happen. Okay. I loved your excitement. I was at a workshop and Holy Spirit was like, through Ciara Shanae, he cracked through all of the crevices because he knows me better than anybody, better than y'all. He knows me better than y'all. And he told me to let y'all know that I need y'all on this project, but y'all know it's my baby. So I just want y'all to co-pilot with me. They should understand that. I want y'all to be my VPs, and I'm the president of this thing. And if y'all are okay with me leading and taking into consideration your ideas, I would love to join forces with you all. So it's letting them know where you stand, and it's not about you running things. It's just your baby. This is my vision. We didn't build this like from the start together, but I know this takes a village, because a baby takes a village. It takes a village.
I love all of that. I'm over here trying to process where to start, because I love you had saying that they're the aunties, right? This is the thing. It's so funny because everybody around me within my community know that I don't like being in the forefront. It's where God called me to. I don't mind being in the back, but what it is that I'm learning to relinquish this burden of feeling responsible. I'm the oldest child. I've always been having to be the manager of all things since I was young. And so I'm learning to relinquish the responsibility of feeling responsible for everything. So if this podcast go left, if something is said that is wrong and all those things, I feel responsible. So it's like, if I'm gonna be responsible, then I might as well be the one doing it. You know what I mean? So it's really liberating, and it's helping me too, because I have to navigate through this process of God had to tell me, you're not responsible for the word going forth. You're not responsible for any of those things. Like you were saying, you're just a vehicle. And I have to learn to be liberated from that. But it comes from being the oldest child, caring for everybody, doing all these different things, that level of responsibility. So thank you, because it's just a reminder of that. And like you said, like if your son was with you all the time, right? That would be a whole struggle. So I really appreciate that. I do. That was very liberating. So thank you for even going a little deeper. Now, what is the name of your book?
Don't mother your message.
Okay, I love it.
Don't
Is it
mother
on
your message.
Amazon or?
It's on Amazon, but I prefer you get it in the Voice to Clients Institute, and I mail it and sign it directly to you.
Okay. Well, you have the link? I know I'm late,
The
so you
same
probably.
link that your worksheets are in is the Voice to Clients Institute.
Just
Okay.
drop this, sis.
All right, thank
And
you.
then the code is, what's the code again, sis?
Get up,
boss.
boss.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So you're very, very welcome. But my son was with me for a full year straight. It was mainly me and my mom. He was the only one. We were mainly the only ones taking care of him. But I feel so much free that I have at least 2 days to myself. Like you get back in touch with who you are. And so I love the breakthrough, because that's real breakthrough. Like you literally had my eyes watering when you went to the root, because you know the root. Like this is not starting here. It started in my childhood and my upbringing. Right. And see, that's where psychology comes into this. Like, I'm sorry. It's so necessary, because it starts showing up with you on stage and showing up with you in business, the stuff that we don't do internally, the work we don't do internally. So yeah, so Don't Muzzle Your Message talks about the internal work that I did so that I don't muzzle my message, because I get it. You are very welcome. You are very, very welcome. Anybody else have any questions? I want to say we have about 4 minutes left, because we're winding down to the wire. And I'm still accessible. You guys can connect with me. But I enjoy you all so much. Anybody, no one else? Oh, wait, I'm not even checking the chat. Oh, I didn't miss anything. Yes, you have to get to the root. I feel like I just want to read the chat later. You can send me the chat with the replay. I know that sounds extra, but I really feel like I missed out on some things in the chat. You're loving everything. I'm glad to hear that, Kay. All right. It seems like there's not, I mean, we got 4 more minutes. Anybody want to jump in and be the last person, or you guys want us to close? No questions, Kiana says, but you did a great job. Thank you. You are very welcome. It was a pleasure. Don't forget to text that at the end, because you'll get a special treat. You'll get a special treat if you do that. And of course, you could look around in the Voice to Clients Institute. I'm not going to hard sell anything tonight, but there are some things you could download that could get you started in the Voice to Clients Institute. I do have one workshop, my specialist status workshop. Well, since we've been talking also, I can't help but talk about, you being the specialist of your message, because it kind of kept coming up. That's in the Voice to Clients Institute, but it's hidden. So right now it's invisible. So if you wanted it, then you would just have to let me know. I'm gonna put it publicly in the Institute, but right now it's hidden. So that's something that if you want, I can give you that as well. But no questions. Wait, I'm gonna make sure I didn't miss the chat. Nope, that's the last thing I saw was Kiana. All right, Dad. So I'm gonna pass it to you to close us out in the 2 minutes. Thank you so much, hon. It's a pleasure.
Girl, I'm definitely gonna be getting your message, because I'm like, man, this was powerful. This was amazing. Ladies, can you just unmute and just say thank you really quick?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You dropped a lot of gems.
Both of you.
This is amazing. So I just want to say thank you again. Thank you for your yes. I knew that, it was going to be something powerful. I knew when God told me that you was our next one, that it would literally lead into, what's to come. Get into our next, a lot of my authors, they are stuck, and this is why. And so this is so powerful. We'll be having a replay And yeah, I got so much going around. I gotta just digest it. And then I'll definitely be back. I'm definitely gonna check out your whole thing. What's next for you, sis? That's my question. What's next for you?
So right now, I pushed back my speaker competition, but I'm doing a virtual speaker competition called Seize the Stage Live. It's going to be virtual this year. So it's happening. I think it's also in the link in my bio, the link she dropped. Believe it still is. But that is going to be in January of 2023. Because again, I said there's a lot of transitions and I don't just throw events together, even if it's virtual. So I needed more time. But that is a great event if you want to witness those who've gone through Dominatrix Speech. Some of them will be competing, and then there'll also be some that I have not trained that's going to be going toe to toe with them. But we also have some workshops, so I'm really excited about that. So it's a mixture of things, networking. But the part, if you really like speaking like me, I feel like you should watch to learn and enjoy what they're saying, but also learn like what's the strategy that they're implementing. And so Seize the Stage is about seizing the stage. Like we seize moments, seize days, right? Because a lot of us hop on stages and we're not dominating and we're not seizing the stage so we can grow our list, build our tribes, and enroll more clients. And so that's what that whole event is themed around. So it's not just a speaker competition just to watch speakers speak. It's about learning how to seize the stage in general and in so many facets. If you could join us,
Yes, don't
and
forget.
it's free. It's
okay,
free.
drop it. Drop it in
Oh, let me do
Discord,
that.
drop it wherever, because I definitely want to be there. One thing you said, I'll say, it just came back to me that set me free, is that I've been doing a lot of speaking. Well, I stopped, but I was doing a lot of speaking events, and I think I had like this whole religious thing going on, because I'm like, I'm just gonna show up and I'm gonna let Holy Spirit flow. And so that's how I've always done it. Like this last event I did, as you were talking, I'm thinking about like, child, not once did you, bring them into exactly who you are. You were just up there, child was preaching, and I'm like, Lord, what the heck? I should have been, directing them back to what I do, even though I'm letting God use me. It's okay to do both. And so I just want to thank you for that, because that was freedom for me. I'm really big on like, let me get God the glory, but He gonna get it anyways because of everything He's doing. And so I just want to say thank you for that. That just came up.
Oh, you are welcome. I definitely want
yes.
to comment on that, and then we could close. So when it comes to the Holy Spirit flowing, He can still flow. Like the scripture that comes to my mind all the time is when, I think it's Peter, when he said, I will give you the words to say in the very hour. And so some people take that literally and they run with it, and they think that they don't have to prepare. Like preachers prepare their sermons, right? They spend time before God. They write down what it is that they want to say. But does that mean that the Holy Spirit doesn't drop things in the middle of it? Absolutely not. One of the things, especially in the Black church, that we might hear is, oh, I feel my help, or this wasn't on my notes, but and that's just saying that the Holy Spirit spoke besides what He spoke with when I prepared, right? So that's one thing that you said that I wanted to comment on. And you said something else. What else did you say after the Holy Spirit part? Towards the end.
I was letting it flow.
No, you said that. You was letting it flow, but then you said, oh, you didn't lead them to who you are
I didn't lead them
and what to offer. And so the thing with like being in ministry, a lot of people, of course, don't want to be commercialized. And so they're like, I used to think like all the time, like, business and ministry are different until God and I coined a word called businessry, right? So I feel like what I do is businessry, where like ministry and business collides, because at any moment, like tonight, I'm doing business. However, if Holy Spirit tells me to share my story, or if Holy Spirit tells me, say this about this woman because He wants to operate in the gift of knowledge, do you think that turns off? Like I used to say that to my friends all the time, like the gift does not turn off. The gift does not turn off. And so because of that, anytime I show up in business, God can still do what He's going to do, and then vice versa. Unfortunately, there's so much smack that goes to a lot of these mega church preachers, but if they got a book, they gonna say they got a book, and somebody else might even pick it up and say, make sure you get their book.
Okay.
Like, but it's because the book is gonna further, again, it's the same concept that I said when we first opened up. this sermon is great. I don't care if they get the CD or the replay of what they just heard, because I used to get church CDs back in the day. The
Real
book
quick.
takes it to the next level, right? They get to take you home with them. So it's all again about perspective and knowing you're coming from a pure heart and why I'm offering this next step, because I want them to go deeper. If I don't get them to connect with me, this is a wrap. I want them to go deeper. It's not over here. It's not, this is not the end, just the beginning of something amazing. So I definitely want to share that with you. So, but I'm glad for all the breakthrough.
Yes, I didn't even know that was there. So thank you so much. So this was amazing, amazing. Listen, ladies, stay tuned in the group because we will continue this. We will continue this. Let's continue to uplift, encourage, and motivate one another to get to the next level. It's about to be 2023 and we getting our stuff together so we can go in right. So that's it. I love you, ladies. Don't forget to check out her checklist. Check out everything that she has. All of y'all should be in there because she is a light and she is doing powerful things. And I know that y'all can definitely benefit from it all. So thank you again, Ciara. I like how you say your name, Ciara Shanae. I love it. And I look forward to just collaborating even the more. So thank you, sis. And thank you, ladies. Have an amazing night. Look for the replay. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Ma'am.